Toni's Ether Freestyle Drive. Got a real special guest. Had to catch her before she goes back to Senegal. Hip hop artist, activist, culture ambassador, educator, Toni Blackman.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
We're in Brooklyn today. Beautiful day.
It is beautiful. The sun is shining.
Yes. I was saying you must have brought some of that sun back.
Yeah.
Back with you from Senegal, you know?
Yes.
So I know you're here for the end of February. Is that the case?
Yes.
You've been in Senegal the last few months?
I was there 2 months.
Beautiful.
And then prior to that, I was here 2 months.
Okay.
And then there 2 months. So I'm working out this life. I have this dream of bicontinental living.
Okay.
Like, there's 2 things I wanted to do was live in New York City and live outside the country.
And you're making it happen. It
so,
looks like
all these pandemic deaths. I'm like, yo, I gotta live, you know.
Are you from New York City? Are you from?
No,
okay.
I'm not from East Coast. I'm from the West Coast.
You're from the West Coast.
I'm from the Bay Area.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that where you started doing hip hop in the Bay Area?
As a kid, I started as a kid. I was dancing, popping and locking, and then started freestyling before school because I went to a public junior high school that didn't receive much support and funding. It was black kids, Mexican kids, Filipino kids, and looking back, I was like, damn, nobody cares.
So even at that young age, you realized about the inequalities.
Oh, I was aware.
You?
I mean, I started writing poetry when I was 8 years old, and it was because my aunt, who was an English professor, she put a pen in my hand. Because none of the adults wanted to have deep conversations with an 8-year-old.
Okay.
I'm like, well, what's happening in that country? Well, why?
Because they didn't think the 8-year-old was capable of having a
conversation.
Having
real dialogue. Like, I wanted to understand when the garbage men go on strike and get fired, now who's going to feed their children? And no one wanted to answer. So one of my first poems was about the garbage men.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
that's amazing. This was a sanitation worker strike in the Bay Area?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it was deep.
That's
deep.
awesome.
And this is, I think, one of the reasons why I'm so sensitive to children. You know, where parents act like their kids don't know. I'm like, they don't say anything.
Is that why you kind of went into the whole educator field? And
I don't know why I went into education.
Okay. Because of money reasons or because of the stress?
Well, you know, education was accidental.
Okay.
You know, I worked in fast food, then I worked in an office, then I was doing this summer camp. And when the kids started to get bored, I just started teaching them how to rap and how to dance because they got tired of kickball and arts and crafts. And so that's how I bumped into it. I was 16 years old when I started.
Wow.
There was no term for hip-hop ed when I started doing it.
So and your focus was really on teaching how to freestyle. And you still...
Well, no, we were doing poetry, how to write poetry, how to write raps, how to stay on beat. And freestyling came much later.
Okay, nice. When did you first visit Africa? Was Senegal the first African country you visited?
No, South Africa.
South Africa, okay.
Yeah, I went to South Africa late 90s, around 97, I think it was. And then... On
a hip-hop tour, or was it just like a visit?
Well, I think I had done artist exchanges with 2 South African artists. As a matter of fact, Shaheen from the legendary hip-hop group Prophets of the City, out of Cape Town, and then this guy Isaac Chokwe, and the African Exchange Foundation here in New York City had funded it. So we did an exchange. We were at New Jersey Performing Arts Center. And then
they performed here, and then you went to South Africa and performed there?
And so it's just, then I had, I went on a trip. A girlfriend of mine, her job paid for her to go. She couldn't go, and her husband was like, call Toni. She likes to go places.
And places meaning South Africa.
Anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. But at that time,
it was South Africa. Yeah. So it was dope. My first trip was to South Africa. It was deep. I saw, you remember those chat rooms, underground hip hop?
Yes.
So that's how I gotten to know Shaheen and some of these guys, and then
through the forums?
Through forums, and people built reputations in underground hip hop.
Yes.
And chat room, and then he introduced me to Maria, who was a music journalist, which introduced me to her business partner because she wasn't available, and her partner and I became friends. He showed me the whole hip hop scene, like the places you wouldn't know.
That's dope. Yes.
And at that time,
like the real local, underground of South Africa, or the hip hop scene out there.
Yeah, and they didn't do nighttime events at that time. It was too dangerous.
Okay.
But they had these dope ass hip hop events in the day.
Nice.
Like you go into the nightclub, you would never ever know it wasn't night.
Okay. Really?
Yes.
So it felt like it was happening at night. You're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and everybody came.
So these were indoors in the daytime.
Indoors in the daytime. We went to a couple of those. For me, it was like a hip hop heaven experience. I met teenagers who rapped about substance, so that was different as well. And then I got to meet a lot of folks. If you live in you're coming from the States, and if you do the kind of work that I do, it's easy. It's like I remember taking a trip with my auntie. I was with my auntie and my mom, and my auntie was these girls, and two of them were blonde, tall, skinny, and she's like, "Toni, those look like your people." And it took me a minute. And what she meant was they were hip hop heads.
Okay.
They were obviously hip hop heads.
Oh, okay.
And then I laughed because when I went to Germany, I was in not Frankfurt. I can't remember what city we were in. Darmstadt. We were in Germany, and
Rammstein or I just know from the band. Yes.
There was a girl about 21 years old who worked for MTV there. She came over and she was like, Toni Blackman, I am the German you. And so she organized hip hop events.
Okay.
She taught hip hop, and it was just one of those moments where that global connection. It's like you can go anywhere in the world. I always say, you drop me out of a plane. If I can find the hip hop heads, I know I have a place to sleep and something to eat tonight.
That's nice.
And it's like it's a global family. You know this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's universal language.
Yeah.
I do hip hop work more in the Middle East, centered, Lebanon, Palestine. But it's just like that. You go over there.
Yeah.
Once you find some local acts,
it's mad
you
love.
can sleep there, eat there, do workshops together. Build and everything.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful thing.
It's so much
that
love.
hip hop connects so many people like that.
Yeah.
What brought you to New York? Originally.
When I was 9 years old, I said, "Mama, I want to move to New York. Mama, when are we gonna move to New York?" Like I would almost be in tears.
Because of the TV, because of the shows.
Yeah,
the
everything.
Movies,
Everything was New York, New York, New
yeah.
York. And she'd laugh it off or whatever and make jokes. And it was just always in my mind since I was a little girl that I wanted to live in New York City. And so I applied to NYU. The cost of it, I put myself through college basically, so that was impossible.
At NYU?
The cost of NYU.
Yeah,
no, I went to Howard.
Okay.
So I ended up applying, but my dentist went to Howard and he sold me on the HBCU experience, and I was like, that's where I'm going. So I got really committed. I had to fight. The first 2 years were two of the hardest years of my life, because I was doing it on my own. And coming from this somewhat working class, sheltered background, really, small town, but while in DC, I wanted to move to New York, but I was always afraid because it was colder here.
Yes, exactly.
And I felt the wind chill once I was here, and I felt the wind chill. I was like, hell no.
When's the first? I mean, people from the West Coast, they may not be exposed to snow, obviously, growing up.
Not just the snow, the wind
cold,
chill.
Like, when did you first see snow? Was it when you moved to New York, or was it in DC?
We had snow maybe twice in my childhood, and then we weren't that far from Nevada. So if you went to Reno, Lake Tahoe, there was snow there.
Okay.
But I never was in the snow until I was in the East Coast in DC.
Yeah.
And had experienced my first blizzards, and then that was some other stuff. But yeah, I just wasn't big on cold. I'm a California girl. I wasn't big on it.
So in Senegal right now, how is the hip hop scene there at the moment? Is that you're working with the hip hop scene locally? Is that what you're doing mainly?
Well, you know what? When I've been going back to Senegal, I have some artists that I mentor, but I've been actually working on my own stuff.
Okay, yes.
I shot some music videos.
I got a sneak peek
for my hip hop meditation.
Thank you for that. Dope.
Mindfulness music.
Amazing tracks. Yes. But the one song you showed me, the Why Worry. The Why Worry one, you released
that's Brooklyn,
that.
yeah.
You released that one, I remember last year. Yeah.
But I redid a new video because I have a hip hop theater production. And And so it's focusing on hip hop meditation. Also, we needed a new video because it's multimedia.
For that same song you're saying?
For the same song.
For the Why Worry song.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that song, was that written totally new to address the pandemic? Or was that pre-pandemic?
Actually, no, that song came about because Yohimbe gave me a bunch of beats. I can't remember the name of the band. It was a band. Nedic, Yohimbe. I'm going to remember the band's name in a minute. But he was in a band that people would know. They have a loyal cult following. I can't remember the name. But yeah, Yohimbe Samson, he did a bunch of beats for me. And he was supportive about me diving deep into this hip-hop wellness stuff. So I told him I want to stretch. So I didn't want it to sound, all of it to sound like, quote, meditation. Because I believe that hip-hop, you know, it can be a meditation.
I hear you.
I believe it offers many heads opportunities to focus, to feel different, to alter their emotions and that sort of thing.
Self-reflect.
Self-reflect, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like, you know, I like that you focus on the meditation theme, because people think meditation is like sitting down quietly, which I'm not saying it's not, but that's one form of it.
Yeah, exactly.
But in your music, the songs I heard and the videos that you showed me, is like more like it's like the chanting or the repetitiveness of the chorus. Yeah. It's like infectious. It's kind of hypnotic.
And I think it's more. My stuff is more like mindfulness music, but no one really knows what you mean by more mindfulness.
Okay.
So I just called it meditation.
Nice.
And then a friend of mine who's deep into meditation, he said it was contemplation meditation, a form of meditation where you're contemplating certain concepts and ideas, where you're contemplating things about yourself. And then, you know, I do a lot of stuff with affirmations because I'm a wordsmith, you know, word artist, believe in the power of the word.
When I was watching your videos, I felt like going to the gym, working out, getting healthy, losing weight, being a good person. I'm just saying, it was very inspiring in that sense, but not in a preachy way. Not in like beating you over the head, be a good boy or a good girl. It's more like, you know, self-reflect. You can do this, you know, have confidence, you know, trusting yourself, etc. It's really inspirational. And have you always done that type of meditation, hip hop, or was it more different before?
Well, I think, you know, I'm a hip hop head, so there was a lot of hip hop. You know, the hip hop where you're talking about being a dope MC, the hip hop where you're talking about the culture, the hip hop where you're critiquing the people who messing up the culture, like one of those.
Yes.
So I did a lot of that stuff, but then I also did love songs. I'm a poet. So there was one era where I had a lot of songs about crying, about tears, which is interesting because it's hip hop. And but when I look back at my stuff, like Jeremiah Hosea, one of my bass players, he says, well, it seems like there's been the trajectory of all of your stuff still has this thread of hope and inspiration. And once I sat to think about it, I was like, oh yeah. So a song that I did that I've been doing for years is called So What. And So What was inspired because I was teaching these girls, middle school girls, and I saw what they were dealing with, and I'm like, and the idea was, so what about the pictures in the magazine? You know, so what that that girl over there is hating? So what? So what?
Brush it off your shoulders.
Brush it off your shoulders, and so technically that is a song about being mindful about your thoughts, how to self-reflect, how you see yourself and your identity. But I wasn't intentional. I wasn't conscious of that. I think it's just a part of who I am.
What led you to be, you know, I know you since you were a little kid with the sanitation strike, you were aware and conscious. And I know you said your aunt gave you the pens to write, you know, poetry and things like that. What made you become active in the conscious sense of speaking out against certain things, let's say inequalities, wars, poverty, sanitation strike and workers? You know, what was there another influence that led you to be politically?
Honestly, I think that some of us are just born this way, where we are sensitive to injustice. And I didn't learn this term until many years after feeling like I was crazy, but understanding what it means to be an empath what it means to be an extra sensitive person.
Okay, yes.
What it means to be hyper sensitive, and and when I'm in my real, when I'm in that space, like seriously, it's very difficult for me to ride the subway. It's difficult for me to move out the city, because when I'm in that space, I have to really ground myself, because I hear everything. I will hear a mother talking to her child sideways, and it will hurt. I will see a woman in the corner with sunglasses on. I know she's crying. Like, I will see someone who looks like they've been abused. I know when people want to die, and that's just one of my I don't know if it's a gift or a tendency or what, but I know when people don't want to be here anymore.
Like a sense, like an extra sense.
Yeah, I have a sense. I can feel it in my belly, and so I actually had to stop doing certain kinds of activism work, because I had to stop and gain the tools on how to do the work without absorbing other people's pain.
I hear you, exactly.
Yeah, that's how I ended
without
up
it bringing you down to the level of giving up or
yes.
feeling hopeless.
Or for me, manifesting physical illness because of my frustration and not being able to change the thing. It would just overwhelm me emotionally.
I could totally see that happening. The stress, that bad thoughts, the wanting things to get better could lead to ulcers. God knows what else.
Yes.
The reason I was asking about the political activism, because you come from the Bay Area, because I know there's a lot of history of.
Well, I mean, that's the programming.
Struggle.
You're right. It was always there, and my aunt went to UC Berkeley. She unfortunately passed in 2020 during the pandemic, like 22. But she went to UC Berkeley, and she was a poet as well as an academic, and so she would take my cousin and I with her, and my mom would sometimes come to book fairs, poetry events. And so what was at the poetry events? You had the Soledad prison poets. You had this cat from Nigeria. You had this Chicano revolutionary. You had all these things that I was introduced to at a young age, and of course it influenced me.
Of course,
You know.
You said you did a theater group in Senegal. It's hip hop theater, like.
No, I didn't do a theater group in Senegal.
Oh, okay.
The theater was here in New York.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I had an ensemble called the Hip Hop Arts Movement, HAM for short, and that was in the early '90s, and it was actually one of the first hip hop theater ensembles ever, so I'm a pioneer in hip hop theater as well as hip hop education. And
so it would be like a play but done in hip hop lyrics, or like musicals, kind of.
Hip hop theater is theater rooted in the hip hop aesthetic.
Okay.
So where the expressions, they're closely tied, if not deeply rooted in hip hop. So it incorporates, rap or dancing or music or DJing, beatboxing, all the elements of hip hop. And so you may have a monologue, and in it there may be hip hop references, there may be a beat drops, that sort of thing. And so that's what hip hop theater is. Yeah.
That's dope. Because people think of Hamilton now, and hip hop.
Well, that's one expression of hip hop theater. But hip hop theater can mean many things. They're like dance companies, like Rockefeller and Quickstep do from Full Circle Productions. They might have a dance performance, and you can see all these hip hop dance movements, just like any other dance concert, right? But they'll have skits, and they'll have props and elements that are distinctly hip hop. And so that then becomes hip hop theater as well. Or an actor might do a monologue, and in the monologue, you hear KRS-One lyrics, you hear Fat Joe lyrics, you might hear
within the monologue itself.
Within the monologue.
So references. Yes. So hip hop heads will catch it and know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So you're working on an album now? Is that what you're working on in Senegal?
I think I'm working on a series of EPs.
Okay.
And my vision is to do hip hop meditation, right? And mindfulness music, but to cover a variety of themes like patience, forgiveness, being able to take risk, being accountable for your choices, loving yourself, caring for yourself and your health. So those sorts of things.
So back to the Why Worry song. So that was pre-pandemic you wrote that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it made sense to release because
2019.
at that time we were being told
Right,
to
right.
worry,
Yeah.
goddamn, you're not worrying enough, you know?
Well, you know, I it's like that release was a challenge, a dare, sincerity, an artist I mentor, and then another friend of mine were like, you need to let go, because I'm stacking all of this music and I never put
I
anything
hear you.
out,
Okay.
and so it was just an exercise in letting go.
Letting go some of your material.
Yes.
Yes.
And now I think we actually I let go of a song called Let's Chill, which was another hip hop meditation song, but it featured my crew, Rhyme Like a Girl. So now in 2022, I'm doing real releases.
Official drops,
Yes,
Toni
yes.
Blackman, yes. What can we see next? What are you able to announce? What music video or song you plan on releasing?
It's the Love Affirmation.
The Love Affirmation.
Yeah, I love and approve of myself. So it's like I spit a verse and then I spit affirmations.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, I love the affirmations. Like I said, it's hypnotic. It's
Yeah.
the repetitive. Something about the repetitiveness. Maybe
Yeah.
it's something about humans that we like the repetitiveness, where it's catchy and it's like it's I'm just like I'm really listening to it. And I'm actually believing it and absorbing it.
Right.
Because the mantra, because of the repetitiveness, it's like it's telling you to do the right thing, you know?
No, and that's the point of it. Like the guy who produced that is a pianist producer I met in Nairobi. I was in Kenya doing hip hop workshops. Buddha Blaze had set up some stuff, and then Nemo Futuristic, she coordinated some things, and so it really started to gel when I was in East Africa in 2019. That like I'm ready. I'm ready.
So you've been to several countries throughout Africa, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I've been to 48 countries around the world.
48 countries?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. When are we gonna see you in Palestine?
I've been trying to get
bring
to
you
Palestine.
down with the tour. Yes, the Existence is Resistance tour. Yeah.
Yes.
So I know you've done work with the Congo.
Yes.
This is the event I came to where you were at performing or hosting.
Okay.
So I've learned a lot following you about different things going on locally in different African countries, which Americans aren't hearing enough about.
That's enough.
The huge continent, and nobody hears. We don't get that much news about it.
Right.
To discuss.
Yeah.
But there's so much going on locally, and you're on the ground actually. You're almost like a hip hop journalist kind of too, in a sense that
that's one of the things I want to be able to do. I think what needed to happen is that I needed to have these experiences, which then would give me the confidence and the grounding. It would also, I've also built a hell of a network of people, and where I know people, where I know who the good people are, and who the opportunists are, and who the shadies are. And so I know how to move, and then I also have good relationships with people who tell me the truth and the scoop on what I need to know to protect myself. And so now that I'm at this space of maturity, I would love to be able to connect people in the U.S. to the information, to the truth, to real folk, and to music, because there's so much dope music being made in other countries.
Definitely, yes.
And one of the things that breaks my heart is that when we turn on the radio, we don't hear it. I just imagine how much it would alter people's dispositions, their mood, the way they see the world, and how they see themselves in it. If they could hear, a hip-hop folk song from Palestine, followed by a South African hip-hop house song, followed by a Brazilian, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, it just changes who you are. Definitely. When you have a relationship to music, and you're not listening to the same exact thing you've been listening to for the last 35 years.
So, back to the hip-hop scene in Senegal. Do the MCs rap in their own local languages?
In
In Wolof?
In French. And I guess there's some that may rap in, Fulani or Pular as well. But yeah, primarily it's Wolof and French. There are a few who know English, and they have English bars and words, references as well. And I I love the French language. I know it's the language of the colonizers, but it's just a beautiful language. But I also love Wolof because Wolof is just so rhythmic, you know.
So you learned a lot.
No.
Some of the talk.
Okay.
Don't ask you to say something. Don't put you on the spot.
I'm learning. I have a tutor, and
you're learning Wolof.
Wolof. Yeah. I do want to learn. I'm revisiting French. I could survive on the streets of Paris in 2001, 2002, and then I didn't use it.
Okay. You lose some of that, yeah.
So the sad thing is the frustration that comes with understanding a person and not being able to find respond. The words in your mouth to respond. Yes. I think that's even more frustrating than not knowing.
Yes, because you know you want to say something, but you're not. You want to exchange, but you're not able to.
But my reminder was when I was in the Congo, and we were working. There were men and women. And then at one point, the guy who I was collaborating with took over.
Okay.
And it was certain things, as a woman in hip hop, I'm used to that. So I just fell back. I said, you know what? I don't feel like fighting. So I go to him and I said, hey, do you mind if me and the ladies went to another room to work on a spoken word song or something with vocals? And then he's like, yeah, go. Toni and the girls are going to do some poetry stuff.
Oh.
And then we went and made,
and
then we made the dopest song out of all the stuff we created during the time. And but being with those women really made me sad about the American experience, where we are not raised speaking other tongues. Because I built such closeness and emotional intimacy with them. But then there's that limitation, and I'm not afraid of being in a space where I don't speak the language. I've let that fear go long. I just love culture too much, and I love people too much. So language does not stop me.
I hear you. It's definitely a convenient way of communicating, but not the only way of communicating. Yes.
Yeah. But that was where, if I wasn't an artist and doing all the things I do, that would be my activism. We're going to speak Spanish, we're going to speak French, we're going to speak Arabic, we're going to speak Portuguese, we're going to speak, Cantonese. I just imagine what a different life experience we'd all have if at least everybody in America spoke Spanish and French,
Very true, yeah. I mean, it will definitely expand our worldview. Hopefully, you would hope, but who knows? Maybe it doesn't.
That's true.
So you're going back to Senegal soon. You've been to the Congo, you said.
Yes.
How was these experiences? I mean, I'm telling me some of them, obviously, with the women in the workshop, but some of it sounds intense. Like the Congo, you hear.
I mean, well, the Congo is what it is. It is what it is. But it's also one of the most beautiful countries in the world. It's one of the most resource-rich countries in the world. It's the place where coltan. Like, we wouldn't have cell phones if it wasn't for coltan. And, I mean, the Congo could, people say, with the natural resources there, it could save the earth. But greed.
Yes.
Greed and corruption. And,
colonialism
or
neocolonialism.
Yes.
And, because, you would think a country like the Congo has a potential to be a superpower. And not that superpowers are a good thing, but that it's so much resource rich that it has the potential to be, but due to that resource rich is being exploited, and all these companies have their interest there, and why would they want peace if they're able to get their material through war? It's just sad to hear, and we're not talking about it enough. We talk about Ukraine now and Russia, and it's all over the news. But like you said, none of us could operate a phone without the material from Congo, and it should be on our radar.
Right.
But it's not, and for whatever reason, and it's it's like, does it have to be a president there who's a nationalist, who we want to overthrow, for us to talk about the Congo? It's like the history with Lumumba and everything is like so much that we're involved in, and Americans just don't know or care.
But it's been an amazing journey. It's like I spent time in Botswana, and we drove through the country on a tour. It was an HIV awareness tour, and so I got to see the country and to see Botswana, it has all these different terrains. You know what I mean? And this area is this, and this area is that. And then Botswana also gets cold.
Okay.
It's Africa.
Okay.
But Botswana has a winter, and you better have a coat. And so that was also something, a nice, interesting experience.
Yes.
And then touring Ivory Coast, I toured the north of Ivory Coast, and so being able to go through the whole region, and it was during a tense time there.
Okay.
We had to have UN security at one point.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's intense. Yeah.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
And would I do all that kind of stuff again? Would I do that again? No, son. But it was a dope experience.
You survived it, and
It
so
was
you get to get.
dope.
Yeah,
It was a little
so
stressful.
Yeah.
So it was stressful because you'd have the roadblocks.
Yeah, checkpoints.
The checkpoints.
Yes.
And then they have to go to the checkpoint, and you'd have to wait, and men with rifles, and woo! And then at one point, I remember we were in Dokwe, I think. I can't remember what country we were in. I mean, what city we were in. And in Cote d'Ivoire, and the president's plane got shot. So the president didn't get shot.
Shit.
But they shot at his plane.
Okay.
And we were at lunch. Me and Brother Peace, is a dancer from Philly, was touring with me. And we were at lunch, and all the embassy folks, and then these other workers. And all of a sudden, everybody started speaking French. Because they didn't want us to understand.
Wow.
And I knew right away, something's wrong.
But they were saying that the president's plane got shot, but in French?
Yeah.
Okay, because they didn't want to panic and
then because I knew I knew something happened, and so it was that point of not knowing if we were going to have to stop touring, if we were going to have to stop the performances, because we still had 3 or 4 more cities to go to.
Okay.
But they ended up sending extra security, which was also bizarre, where you got security on both sides of you and in front and behind you, and you're there and you're supposed to get open and freestyle or something.
Yeah. What's going
crazy.
On here? Exactly. Like, what did this turn into? What are some of the other countries you want to visit or plan on visiting?
Well, I've traveled through Southeast Asia, but only went to 4 countries. Was in the Philippines, and that was an intense one too, because it was Al Qaeda time.
Okay.
And,
Yes.
Al Qaeda was very present,
Yeah.
so we had to have bodyguards and stuff. But I loved the Philippines. The island of Cebu. I mean, when I say beautiful, I mean just absolutely gorgeous.
Really
But
nice.
then I go other places and I'm like, oh, this is beautiful too. This is beautiful too.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
beautiful too. Well, I don't know where. I mean, I haven't been to Madagascar. I'm not sure if I want to go, but I love the name.
Madagascar?
Yeah.
Okay, just for that reason?
I'm going to go to Madagascar. I did not get to go to Cuba.
You did not? Okay. I've been
And
there.
I
got
need
a
to go
chance.
to Cuba.
You need
I
to
need
go,
to go
yes.
to Cuba in this lifetime.
Definitely. I'm surprised you actually haven't gone because of the
I
political
had
activist work you've done
opportunities,
and the circles
and
you're
then
in.
I
Yeah.
chose other gigs.
Okay. Can't do every. I mean, you said you visited 40-something countries already, so Cuba's on the list. But
Yeah, I think that's one of the few. Like, there's only a few places where I really gotta go. And Cuba is at the top of the
Definitely,
list.
yeah.
And I haven't been able to tour the Caribbean. So maybe island hopping.
Nice. Okay.
Like that sort of thing. And then South America, I had considered making Colombia my second home.
Really?
As opposed to Senegal. But then I situated in Senegal because I knew Senegal, and it's familiar and have relationships, and I'm working towards a thing as opposed to going to a brand new country where I have to build up.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. You've been to Colombia though?
No.
No, but
I love it though.
Okay.
I love the music.
Yeah.
It's
But
just
to
something.
move there sounds like
Yeah.
a big decision to make for not visiting one time. I'm saying, at least take a look. It's like buying a house, it
It has always appealed to me. It has always appealed to me.
Cool.
And think, I had an opportunity to go to Brazil on a residency in the 90s. I did this exchange with a dance company. And then when I met the dance company, Kim Chan one of my arts mentors and the Washington Performing Arts Society had facilitated some really dope arts work for me as a hip-hop artist in the 90s before it was even trendy to do so. And so I was in Miami doing this exchange with them, and I had an option to say yes, I want to go to Brazil and do this, or no. And I opted out because I had a chance to go back to South Africa.
Okay.
And then I just got really uncomfortable. Like, I learned the politics of Brazil and colorism. And then the dance company, like, it looked like there was a paper bag test.
Okay.
And me being darker, it was just not something I was interested in learning
I hear you. Okay.
and discovering at that time. But when I finally went to Brazil in 2008 with my Cypher.com with Curtis Jewell and Yodi Owens and that crew, and we actually got to tour with Babito, DJ Babito.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Was on that. And so I was
That's
there.
dope, yeah.
I fell in love with Brazil. Oh my gosh. And I knew this is why God didn't have me go there younger. If I had gone to Bahia first,
okay,
I would have gone nowhere else.
You would have just stayed there.
I would have just stayed there.
Yes.
And my destiny would have been in South America.
Okay, yes.
Period. That's how much I loved Brazil. And I know post their new leadership,
Yeah.
things are very different, and things have always been hard and challenging for Afro-Brazilians. But it was a place where I felt absolutely at home. I felt embraced. I felt comfortable. Going to Sao Paulo as well, and some cool fam in Rio as well. I loved, and also hip hop in Brazil.
Yes.
Come on now.
The scene out there, yeah.
It's crazy intense.
And you went out there with the Cypher, you said, and Babito was a DJ?
Yeah.
And y'all was doing performances on stage? Like
We did. There was only one or two performances, but we did workshops. We visited the favelas, community work as well.
Yeah.
I recorded with one group. And so it was, the seeds were being planted for further programming. They did not manifest.
Okay. Before you head back to Senegal, what's your plans in Brooklyn? Are any shows? I know things are different because of COVID.
Life is different.
Yeah.
Life is different.
Are you doing any hip hop stuff here, or are you more just taking care of business before you head back?
I'm taking care of business. I've got some things in the works.
Are you shooting any music videos here? I know you've shot a bunch already, but
I shot a few in Brooklyn last year, and then and one in 2020, and then what's coming up for me in the States is I just solidifying my home in Brooklyn and getting clear. I got to get my business together. I'm one of those artist activists who did not handle her business, who had low business acumen, who got a huge fellowship and put all the money into the program.
I hear you. Okay.
And gave it away essentially, and did not take care of myself. And so I'm in a sort of a recovery, and also in a unlearning some bad habits, and then also deprogramming that you can be a good person and take care of you.
Definitely, yes.
And so there's that part that I'm dealing with, and then also how do I set up the lifestyle I want?
Okay.
And the thing is, we get convinced that we have to be rich to live our dreams. If I told you how many times I got on a plane with my passport with $300 in the bank, you probably want to slap me. But
you made it work.
Yes, I made it work.
Yes.
I believe in living. And now with this pandemic, I spoke at 2 funerals in October, and one was a dear friend and my business advisor, who is dead. And I think since
the COVID?
he survived COVID.
Okay.
Mind you, he had COVID, was in the hospital in 2020 and survived it, and then got diagnosed with cancer, stomach cancer, January of 2021, and died August 30th. Wow. And so there's that dynamic of people dying from cancer, heart attacks, strokes. There are those folks in my life, and then there's the COVID folks. But the amount of people I've known personally, people I was close to that have died in the last 3 or 4 years. And then when the pandemic, it just kind of quadrupled.
Yes.
I lost count. It's over 40. And so it just changed me.
Okay, yes.
It changed me. One, it made me more empathetic to people who grow up in environments in countries where they lost 20 members of their family. It's like there's some things until you experience it, you don't really get it.
True, yeah.
But now I get it. And so it's made me so much more compassionate to humanity, right? I think it's made me a different person and a better person in some ways. And it has also made me want to live. And so my focus this year is setting up the life that I want to live so that I'm happy and so that I'm peace-filled, so that I feel fulfilled. And that's that. But it's like in the States, I'm sorry, I can't tell detail. I talk too much. I should overshare.
No, please.
So, but I have an opportunity that is on the table. That's being negotiated. For me to work professionally as a rap and spoken word coach.
In the United States?
On the Disney television series.
Okay.
And for me, it's next level because it's a dream.
That's amazing.
It's one thing that I have done the last 30 years is coach artists, and in performance and for the stage and for recording. At one point, I even had MCs I coached who for battling. Right? I don't battle, but I know how to train.
Okay, yeah.
You know, the same way, Phil Jackson was a basketball coach, you know what I mean? No, and so that thing, but I believe I'm a master teacher in when it comes to rap performance and spoken word poetry. And it's something that I absolutely love to do. So that's what I started doing.
Do you think since you've been more of an educator or a coach, that's been why you haven't released as much material?
No, I didn't release because I'm a performer.
Okay, yeah.
And I studied performance, and I loved performance, and I was naive to the value of having a catalog and a body of work. And if I had a catalog and a body of work right now, I'd be in a different financial position, because I can't reference the last 20 years to you, right? So you don't understand why you need to pay me this much.
I hear you.
Because there's not a catalog or a body of work.
But you have a resume still. You have
I have
videos,
the resume.
Yeah.
I have the resume. Yeah. And so now I am shifting how I approach things and approach life. And so for me, the body of work is really about positioning myself to be able to do what I love to do on a bigger level. You know?
I like that, yeah.
And also I'm just so grateful that I'm vibrant enough.
Listen, is it more like your hard work is paying off?
Yes.
Too?
Yes, like because I did build all those relationships. There are people. There's a producer whom I admire, right, from afar, who fully established in the business, who said, "Hey, let's get in the studio," and I looked. I was like, "What? So that is starting to happen. Right?
Yes.
There's a producer overseas who I hadn't talked to in 19 years who emails me, "Hey, I saw your Instagram where you did this, and that. Hey, are you interested in this, and that?" And then I got a call to do a voiceover for a documentary film in France. Where, and it's a legit film. Yeah. So the pay is legit. To deliver the narration as a poet and an MC. That's nice. And so it's like things like that are unfolding.
So it's like a French dialogue, but you're doing it in English as a translation?
I'm doing it in English.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's dope. Yeah.
So it's been I have had some of the weirdest gigs, and I was like, you mean people get paid to do this?
That's cool, yeah.
And so now what I'm doing is leveling up. So I gotta update the website, update my resume, and
like you said, you taking care of yourself. Like like you're seeing with a lot of activists, sometimes they think taking care of them, they feel guilty taking care of themselves or something. Like it's bad to have a little bit of money or to floss a little bit, or look down the pot.
Well, you also see what happens to some of them who do take care of themselves, and then here comes the public, acting like public servants can't live in a nice
That's
house.
true too. It goes both ways. Yes,
yeah,
yes,
and
you're
like,
right.
and they can.
They can, totally.
They deserve
They
it.
do. They
you
do.
know, yeah.
Yes, exactly. All right. I mean, we spoke a lot of history with Toni Blackman. I'm loving it. I can go on too, sis. So, but we got you here for the freestyle session. That's what we got you here for. You want me to throw on a beat? You want me to? You ready? You want to sing?
On a beat.
All right. Toni Blackman, Freestyle Drive.
Freestyle Drive.
Linked up before she heads back to Senegal.
Yeah.
We in Brooklyn today. She
brought
the sunshine with her from Senegal. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I close my eyes and I center myself. I've been fighting the devil with my mental health. It's up and down on some days because the COVID hit me, yes, in the worst way. Said I didn't catch the virus, but many people did, and I feel like we all are doing a bid. On prison, I said we kind of locked down, and even if we're free, said we still deal with the sound of the voices of the bad news, the headlines. We don't even know till we gonna lose our minds. So I suggest that we sit back, relax, and understand and deal with the facts. The fact be that you and me truly be free. The fact is that we can rely on divinity. The fact is that there is a God in the sky. Alhamdulillah. What? Let go of your stress. Release it from your chest. Why don't you take a breath? Sit back, you can rest. No need for you to chase the American dream. You gotta understand and create your own scene. You gotta make sure you're first on your team. Self-care is the best care. Self-love is the best love. Rise above the negativity. Deal with your energy. Look into the mirror. Make sure that you love what you see. Open your third eye. Allow yourself to cry when the tears come from the pain. Don't run. Just breathe and release. Yeah, just breathe and release. Yeah, just breathe and release. Yeah, just breathe and release. Yeah,
just breathe. Toni Blackman, Freestyle Drive. Thank you so much, sis. Appreciate it. You killed it, really. I'm so happy I got you on. We've been talking for a while now, but you were back and forth. You on planes all over the place. It's hard to get Toni Blackman on the show, you know what I'm saying? But we made it happen. Where can people check you out online? What's the best place?
Instagram at Toni Blackman. And I've been building on TikTok as well.
Nice. Okay.
At Toni Blackman 5, Twitter at Toni Blackman, and I've got a website, ToniBlackmanPresents.com, and the music is coming out.
Nice. That's what I'm waiting
this
for.
Year.
That's what we're all waiting for.
We do a song a month, and then we'll be doing
I got a
my
sneak
book.
peek. That shit is fire. Just make everybody jealous that I got a little sneak peek. Yes.
The book Wisdom of the Cipher.
Okay, Wisdom of the Cipher. Nice.
Yes, will be coming out.
That's
and
dope.
In May 1st, the podcast, the Lyrical Meditation Cipher podcast, will be coming out. So,
well, how's that gonna what's gonna be discussed on the podcast?
Well, the podcast is set up to explore universal spiritual themes related to personal growth and self-development, and so we cipher. We do a prayer and a meditation, and we cipher on the theme, and then we talk about it. And so we have Coach Sakia, Coach in Residence, and MCs like At Last, Laris, and Sincerity, and there are other folks here. We have an MC from poet from the UK.
So it'll be more discussions mixed with actual ciphering?
It's half and half.
Half and half? That's dope.
Yeah, I mean, to just keep it real hip-hop.
Nice.
You know, hip-hop heads talk. We do our hip-hop, and then we build. And so we just condensed it into a podcast format.
That's a good idea.
So.
And I love the title of the book, Wisdom of the Cipher.
Yeah.
That's a dope-ass title.
Yes.
Wisdom of the Cipher by Toni Blackman. Thank you again. Thank you everybody for tuning in. FreestyleDrive.com for my previous episodes. Check out her information in the bottom in the information section. Follow Toni Blackman, dope-ass artist, educator, MC, activist, cultural ambassador. The list goes on.
Yes.
Thank you, Toni Blackman, again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you being on the show. Peace, y'all. Peace.